It was just another cloudy Thursday morning when 15-year-old Vanshita Rathore left home for school. She waved goodbye to her mother, adjusted her school bag, and stepped into the bustling streets of Andheri, Mumbai. But little did anyone know it would be the last time anyone saw her alive. By the next evening, her lifeless body would be discovered stuffed inside a suitcase near a remote railway track. The scene was so horrific, so chilling, that even the hardened officers at the crime scene stood frozen. But the most haunting question echoed through the city. Who could have done this to a child? On August 25th, 2022, Vanshita did not return home by evening. At first, her family thought she might be late due to extra classes or a school activity. But as darkness set in and her phone remained switched off, panic began to spread. Her parents frantically called her friends and teachers, only to hear the most shocking news. Vanshita never showed up at school that day. Worried, sick, and desperate, the family rushed to the Andheri police station and filed a missing person report. The clock had started ticking, and every minute felt heavier than the last. With no clues, no ransom calls, and no witnesses, the fear of the unknown was crushing. And then came a phone call that shattered their world. On the evening of August 26th, around 3:30 p.m., the police received a call about a suspicious abandoned bag near Nagan railway station. Officers rushed to the scene. What they found was horrifying: a large suitcase zipped tightly. When they unzipped it, the stench hit them first. Inside was a body wrapped in a blanket, blood still fresh on her school uniform. Multiple stab wounds covered her torso. It was clear this was a brutal, cold-blooded murder. Within an hour, the uniform helped police identify the victim. It was Vanshita Rathore. As word spread, shockwaves rippled across the city. A young girl brutally murdered, dumped like trash. Why? Who would do this? And more importantly, how did she end up here? Mumbai police launched a full-scale investigation, assigning 10 special teams to the case. The crime branch from Ahmedabad also joined, sensing this was not going to be an ordinary manhunt. The first break came from CCTV footage near Vanshita's house. She could be seen walking toward her school route, but midway she diverted, heading down a different path. A few minutes later, another camera caught her walking with 2 young men. That footage lit a fire under the investigation. Police ran facial recognition and quickly learned both boys were missing from their homes. Now, it wasn't just a murder case, it was a chase. Phones were switched off. No digital trail. The suspects had vanished. But Mumbai police were relentless. They scoured over 2,000 CCTV clips across stations, trains, roads, even temples. After days of digging, they got another lead. The suspects were spotted boarding the Jodhpur Express at Virar Station. What followed was a real-life game of hide-and-seek. The suspects were seen in Jaipur, then Jodhpur, then Ajmer. Police officers followed their every trace, only to find the suspects always one step ahead. It was clear now, these boys had planned their escape meticulously. But what kind of 21-year-olds could kill a girl and run like fugitives with such precision? Just when the trail seemed to go cold, the suspects resurfaced, this time at Vaishno Devi. Police sent teams there, but before they could close in, the boys had moved again, this time to Pokhran, Gujarat. Now, Mumbai police took help from Ahmedabad crime branch. Together, they followed the trail to a small village called Palanpur. After a full week on the run, the suspects had finally let their guard down. A local tip led police to one of the boys hiding at a relative's house. But by the time officers raided the home, he was gone again. Hope was fading until another tip came in. Both suspects were hiding at a local lodge. At 1 a.m., under the cover of darkness, the police stormed the lodge. In a small, poorly lit room, the two boys sat quietly, unaware of the final knock on their door. Within minutes, they were arrested without resistance. Vanshita's killers were finally in custody, but as they were escorted out in handcuffs, the biggest mystery still remained. Why did they kill her? The interrogation room was cold, not just from the air conditioning, but from the silence, the tension, the weight of what had happened. Two young men, both just 21 years old, sat across from seasoned officers. One was Santosh Makwana, the other, Vishal Ambavane. They didn't look like killers. They looked like boys who lost their way. But appearances can be deceiving, because what they were about to confess would send shivers down the spines of even the most hardened investigators. After hours of silence, it was Santosh who broke first. With trembling hands and a cracked voice, he told the story. It began, as many stories do these days, with a message on social media. Santosh and Vanshita met online. She was 15, he was 21. Despite the age gap, they struck up a friendship that quickly turned into something more. Messages turned into video calls, and soon they began meeting in person. At first, it seemed harmless. Secret meetings, hidden from the eyes of family and neighbors. But what started as infatuation turned into obsession. Santosh fell hard. And when Vanshita began to pull away, sensing things had gone too far, he couldn't take it. She had told him she didn't want to see him anymore, that she wanted to focus on school and her future. She was just a child. But to Santosh, her rejection felt like betrayal, and it triggered something dark inside him. What pushed Santosh over the edge was not just her rejection, but the humiliation he claimed he faced from her family. He told the police that Vanshita's relatives had confronted him. Some even roughed him up, warning him to stay away. That incident hurt his pride. And for Santosh, pride was everything. He didn't just want to end the relationship, he wanted revenge. He began plotting, coldly, carefully, like someone who had been preparing for this moment. And it wasn't just his plan, it was his execution that shocked the police. He admitted he had been binge-watching crime shows like Crime Patrol, learning how criminals made mistakes and how to avoid them. He studied cases, movements, patterns. He believed he was smarter than the police. And in that arrogance, he began building his plan of murder. But he wouldn't act alone. Enter Vishal Ambavane, Santosh's close friend, a school dropout, struggling to survive, living a directionless life. Santosh convinced him that what they were doing wasn't just about murder. It was justice, revenge, a way to stand up to humiliation. And somehow he convinced Vishal to join him in the plan. He even gave him money to buy a knife and other supplies. But where did he get the money? Santosh confessed he stole it from his own mother, a gold Mangal Sutra she cherished. He sold it through a local broker for 2 lakh rupees. From that, he gave Vishal money for the knife. He used the rest for clothes, a phone, and travel arrangements. The plan was now in motion. All they needed was the moment. That moment came on the morning of August 25th. Santosh messaged Vanshita asking to meet. He told her it was important, that he just wanted to talk. Innocent as she was, Vanshita agreed. She told her family she was going to school, but instead, she met Santosh. On the way, Vishal joined them. The three walked through narrow alleys and finally arrived at Vishal's house. It was there, behind closed doors, that everything changed. They spent a few hours together, At first, it was like old times, but then Vanshita tried to leave. She told Santosh again that their relationship couldn't continue, that she wanted it to end. That's when things spiraled. Words turned into shouts, shouts turned into threats, and then violence. According to Santosh's own words, in a moment of uncontrollable rage, he looked at Vishal and gave a nod. Vishal, silent till now, took out the knife and stabbed Vanshita in the stomach. Once, twice. She screamed, but Santosh clamped his hand over her mouth. He held her down while Vishal stabbed again. And then, Santosh took the knife from him and continued the assault himself. He didn't stop until her small body went limp. She was gone. But even in that horror, the planning didn't stop. They removed her school uniform and dressed her in Vishal's shirt and pants. They wrapped her body in a thick blanket and stuffed it into a large travel suitcase. Later that night, they called an auto rickshaw, pretending they were just two young men headed to the train station. The suitcase sat between them like a passenger, as if it didn't carry a terrible secret. They boarded a slow train from Vilepal and reached Nagan station by evening. Just before the train crossed a small bridge near some bushes, they hurled the suitcase off the moving train. Then they changed clothes, got haircuts, and began their journey across the country, fooling police, hiding in plain sight. But evil always leaves traces. Their biggest mistake? Keeping Vanshita's school bag. It appeared in several CCTV frames across stations. Police followed that bag's journey from Mumbai to Rajasthan to Gujarat. It was like a breadcrumb trail of guilt. And finally, it led to their arrest. When officers heard the full confession, there was a moment of stunned silence. This wasn't just a case of love gone wrong. It was a calculated, egotistical revenge murder carried out by a man who believed he could outsmart the law. And he almost did. But there was still one unanswered question that chilled everyone in the room. Why did Vishal help? He wasn't in love. He wasn't humiliated. And yet, he plunged the knife without hesitation. Was it loyalty, fear, or something darker? That's the question that still haunts investigators. The courtroom was packed. Reporters today, Santosh and Vishal sit in separate cells in Arthur Road Jail, isolated, forgotten by most, but still very much alive, awaiting appeals, waiting for something, anything. And yet something about the case still feels incomplete, because even now, many wonder, was Santosh truly the mastermind? Or was there someone else, someone still in the shadows who encouraged him, helped him, fed his hate? Maybe it's paranoia, maybe it's truth, but the thought remains, could this happen again? What do you think? Was justice served? Was life imprisonment enough? Or should a harsher sentence have been given? Tell us in the comments below. Let your voice be heard. Because sometimes, the final judgment belongs not just to the court, but to society.